Hello, welcome to Abdow Avenue. I'm Jason Abdow, and today we're going to be talking about the second full-length album from rapper Vince Staples, Big Fish Theory. Now, Vince Staples is a rapper that I have been very interested in. I think he's definitely one of the best up-and-coming rappers out today. I really enjoyed his last album, Summertime '06. I think that he's able to make these really introspective songs, but also some really solid bangers at the same time. And he's definitely got a personality about him, both in his music and in his personal life. And I was definitely interested in this album. I hadn't listened to any of the singles going in. The most I had really heard from him was the song he made with Gorillaz on their last song, Ascension. And that was actually one of my favorite songs on that album, even though I wasn't too wild about it overall. And so yeah, I was very excited for this album. And I was seeing all of the almost universal critical acclaim going into this. And I didn't read the reviews, just because I don't want those opinions to really interfere with my opinions too much. But I was noticing a lot of strong feedback from a lot of major publications that I respect. So I was excited about this album, and I've got to say, I might not be as hot on it as many of those publications were, but I can definitely say this is an album worth checking out. The first thing that really grabbed me about this album, and I think is the reason why this album has been gaining so much critical acclaim, is because of the production. And the production overall is just amazing. You know, it's just normal beats. It's not like there's any grand orchestral stuff going on. But the production at times is so loud and bombastic that it really is noticeable and definitely a little weird. And I don't think a lot of traditional hip-hop listeners will be prepared for a lot of songs on here. Songs like Crab in a Bucket, which is produced by Justin Vernon of Bon Iver. A couple songs are produced by Sophie of PC Music, and the song Yeah Right, which is produced by Sophie and Flume, who I am a huge fan of. And this guy, Zach Sekoff, who I had never heard of before this, and doesn't even have a Wikipedia page as of now, produced a few songs on this album too. Consistently, I'm just getting these great, loud, banging, weird beats, and I just like how interesting a lot of this album sounds. Songs like 745 have this really loud banging bass in the background, and I, like the tool I am, I guess, I have the bass turned up in my car where I was first listening to this album, and sometimes you can't really even understand what Vince is saying because it's just this loud banging beat, and I know a lot of people are probably going to have issue with that, but I really liked how this album is almost as much an electronic album at times as it is a rap album. Songs like Big Fish and BagBak, I think, have these really nice bouncy beats going on that I think Vince is able to rap off of really well. And overall, I think the production on this album is just amazing. I was amazed by how much they were able to get away with on this album. It's not just the production I think is really great on this album. I do think the songwriting and the rapping by Vince Staples also is a standout. Sometimes he can feel like a little bit of a feature on this album, and I totally understand why, and I don't really have that big a problem with that if the thing that's kind of taking him over a little is so great. But, you know, I do think a rapper with a little more, I don't want to say personality, but I would say a rapper with a little bit more of an attention-grabbing flow would have probably been a little better on this album. But that's, again, not to say that Vince Staples is bad or forgettable by any means. He definitely, like I said earlier, has a distinct personality that comes across. And we see on songs like Crabs in a Bucket, he's instantly not afraid to make some bold social statements. He compares African American communities to this crabs in a bucket mentality. And if you don't know what that means, it's this idea that if you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, rather than each of them trying to get out individually, they're all pushing each other down and trying to bring each other up, and it kind of is this vicious cycle where they're always pushing each other down, and in the end they all probably end up getting cooked. No one succeeds. And it's an interesting point, obviously not as nuanced as it can be on that issue, but it's definitely a bold way to start your album. And, you know, we've got a song like BagBak, where he's definitely making some political statements. I mean, he tells the president to suck a dick, you know. Can't go wrong there. The song, Yeah Right, not really a political song, more or less commentary about the rap industry and how a lot of rappers are bragging about all the women and money and all that, and it's just kind of him and Kendrick Lamar, who also has a feature on the song, just rapping about how, you know, saying, yeah right, no way, you're not as great as you say you are. And that's something I think really makes the song stand out. That and the amazing production by Flume and Sophie. I think this is one of the wildest songs on this entire album, and definitely the best song on this album. But if I were to say there are complaints about this album, I would say that, you know, some of the songs, even if they are great, I think like a song like Party People, amazing. A song like Party People, which is amazing, and Samo, which I really like. I think they can be a little lyrically flat. And songs like Rain Come Down, they're it's a little flat, it's a little bit of a boring way to end the album. I kind of wish it ended stronger. It reminded me of how Kanye West ended The Life of Pablo with Fade, and of course it has Ty Dolla $ign as well. It kind of gave me that feeling where it kind of ended abruptly with that, and I was like, oh, I kind of wish that it felt like it had been building and then it just was kind of over. And this is only a 36-minute album, it's surprisingly short, and I kind of wish that they had done a little more to add on to this to maybe end it off a little better. Oh, and I forgot to mention the song Love Can Be with Damon Albarn of Gorillaz. That's also another great song. That's one definitely where Vince feels like a little bit of a supporting act in that song, but I think it comes together really well. That's another one of my favorites on here. But overall, this is definitely an album worth checking out. I think this is a very important album in hip-hop this year, and while I might not say it's as good as Summertime '06, I think the songwriting on that album was better than it was on this album. It definitely shows that Vince Staples is willing to take risks, and this is one of those albums I can see people looking back on once Vince Staples drops like a really great album that I feel like he's going to do. I feel like this is definitely building up to something big. I feel like once he drops his magnum opus, I guess, people will look back on this album and say, wow, that was like showing early signs of genius of what was to come. And that's just how I'm personally feeling about this album. That's not to take away from how great I feel this album is now. I think it's definitely a strong B+, and definitely worth checking out. Even if you're not a traditional hip-hop fan, maybe if you're just into like EDM music or something, this definitely might pique your interest, and definitely a few songs in here you might enjoy. And like I said, it might not be for every fan of rap music, but definitely worth checking out nonetheless. And again, it's only 36 minutes. Give it a shot. I think you'll like it. So, do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Do you love or hate Big Fish Theory? Just let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.